So even while they're trying to gaslight us into thinking we're overreacting because it's just an ad, in the same breath, they're acknowledging that the messaging in the ad signaled the end of woke advertising. So you admit it. You admit that the ad was fascist.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
I think that it's crazy, the advertisement that Sydney Sweeney put out, and I think that it's crazy for a lot of reasons. The first being of which is that it's subtly putting forward the idea that something like eugenics is okay, when in actuality it never has been, and it never will be. I just think it's like really problematic, because it's like, how can you be doing this, Sydney, when like you're supposed to be like pro us? And when I mean by pro us, I mean by like pro the movement of feminism, pro the movement of equal rights, of equity for all. So like it really doesn't make sense like how Sydney Sweeney could come out with an ad like this. Unless you've been seeing what she's been doing, then it does make sense to you, actually. I also think that like to be like anti-woke is just like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, why do you want to be asleep as it relates to what's going on in our world? Like,
commentators on the right are laughing at liberal leftist snowflakes and saying it's just an ad. The problem is that context matters. In art, in film, and yes, even in ads. They exist within the context of the society in which they are being released. And American Eagle would not have made and released this likely incredibly expensive ad campaign if they didn't think it would move product and convince today's buyers to buy their jeans.
I think that it's just inconsiderate of others' experiences that have been lived. You know, what we're seeing from Sydney Sweeney is something that we're seeing in a lot of different advertisers and or companies, of going in the direction of what we could call anti-woke. Now, the reason that we could think of this as anti-woke is because of its connection to wokeness.
And I think the more important context is the history of eugenics as it relates to fascism, not only in 1940s Germany, but also, yes, here in America. Because Nazis, including the mustache man himself, actually took a hell of a lot of inspiration from American eugenics. The term eugenics was coined in 1883 by Sir Francis Galton, a contemporary and cousin of Charles Darwin. Galton argued that mental and physical traits are equally heritable. Therefore, it should be possible to selectively breed better humans. From the start, eugenics was a tool of social control masquerading as a science, and its elitist logic quickly took hold in America. At the turn of the 20th century, the US was changing at unprecedented speeds.
I guess I think something that could be connected to wokeness is intersectionality. So like when you're facing one thing, you're also facing another thing at that same time. So like a black woman that is LGBTQ plus would have it harder potentially than a black woman that is straight, because she has to shift through being a black woman in America and then also has to shift through being an LGBTQ plus person.
This is a pattern that is easily recognizable from history that is now becoming vogue again in America. To be clear, it never went away, but now that you can publicly declare yourself a fascist and then raise tens of thousands of dollars from people who support you for it, as the fascist guy in that Jubilee video did, we have reached a level of comfort with fascist ideologies that is so clear and in vogue that American Eagle made a bet that they could recycle it and sell us jeans. And their stock saw a 15% jump in value in the wake of the controversial Sydney Sweeney ad, with conservatives lauding the actress for bringing about the end of woke advertising.
I think that we can definitely poke fun at a lot of things as Americans, but I think that we need to be conscious, we need to be media literate, we need to understand. Like, I feel like media literacy is just definitely dead here, and people's understandings of like what they want to see. Because it's just like, how can you be outspoken about something but then not want to be outspoken about other things? Like, I definitely understand, you know, like picking your battles.
And it makes sense that we're seeing this pro-eugenics ideology flourishing right now. Things are lining up in ways very similar to the beginning of the 20th century. Income inequality is higher than it's ever been. Because of that, people feel like they're fighting over scraps, so outsiders coming in to take what little is left for them are seen as an existential threat. The ruling elite exploit that fear by playing into racist stereotypes, building an us versus them mentality that distracts us from gaining any sense of class consciousness, and instead gets the dominant majority to fall in line behind racist racist talking points and bunk science in favor of an authoritarian leader who is the only one that can protect them from the onslaught of the masses.
The biggest takeaway is that we need to be better as Americans. You know, we need to accept less, and we need to accept more. We need to accept less hatred, and we need to accept more of others.